Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal. My name is Farheen Khan and you're watching the AZEEZA show. This is now season 2 of our program, so thank you so much for all your support in making that happen. This week we're going to talk about the issue of single motherhood. I know last season we had some discussions on motherhood in general and it came up, but we wanted to really take a moment to elaborate on that particular topic. With me in studio are Azza Al-Shahabi and Simply Saira. Welcome. And also joining by video are Saleha Khan and Lilia Ait from Ottawa and London. So I want to just jump right into it. So let's talk about, maybe you guys can start by introducing yourselves and then we'll get right into the discussion.
Yeah, sure. My name is Azza and I'm a mom of 2 kids and newcomer to Canada and a real estate agent, interpreter and teacher.
Excellent, welcome.
My name is Saira, Simply Saira. I'm an author, a new mom, a single mom. I'm an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I'm also a motivational speaker and a life coach.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
And I'll give, Saleha and Lilia a chance to introduce themselves as well.
My name is Lilia Ait Mehdi. First, I would like to wish everyone, especially single moms, a happy new year. An amazing 2019. I am a single mom for the last, I've been a single mom for the last 4 years, almost 5 years now. A happily ever single mom. I am a CEO, founder of Consulilia Inc. It's a business strategy and investment company.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Saleha. I live in London and I've been in Canada since 2001. Been a single mom, I would say effectively since 1999 when my youngest was almost 18 months old. And now my youngest is 20, he's turning 22.
So now let's talk about the discussion. So what does single motherhood mean to you? Maybe we can define it a little bit for our audience.
Did you want to go first?
No, you can go first.
All right. So single motherhood, in my opinion, is when a mother is parenting her child. She's the sole provider for the child, mm-hmm. and she's the sole caregiver of the child,
right.
With or without the presence of the father, or with or without the presence of and support of her family as well.
Right.
So you're caring for the child, and you're providing for the child, and you're raising them on your own.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I would add more to this that I see it more in a different way, like single mother for myself mm-hmm. is stronger woman than any other mother. That's what I see. Yeah, I know mm-hmm. she's single, but I believe that she's more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is, let's ask Saleha and Lilia for their comments as well. What do you think single motherhood is?
Single motherhood is when a mother is raising the kids by herself, whether it's single parenting or co-parenting, which means the kids can still go and stay with the father on shared custody with the mother. But when in her household, she's the one responsible for being a mother and a dad and a household provider for the family.
So for me, the idea of single motherhood, I guess the way I look at it is when you as a parent, basically as a mother, have given birth to your child and then are pretty much solely responsible for upbringing your child. And we're looking at upbringing which is going beyond the financial side of it. So it is the emotional, the physical side, the ensuring around the spiritual growth of the child as well. So it's like the holistic 360 degrees of taking care of the children, as long as you're doing it without any sort of support and you're doing it on your own.
So I think one of the questions is also, oftentimes we hear like, okay, well, there's many reasons why a mother would be single, right? What would you like to tell people about that? Why are women generally, Yeah, what do you think?
That a woman may decide to part ways with from her partner due to many reasons. It could be misalignment. It could be domestic abuse. It could be the fact that they're just not. They were in love, but now they're out of love, and they decide to do life separately.
Right.
And there could be other reasons where if you're a non-Muslim, that you decide not to get into marriage, and now you've parted ways from your partner.
Right.
So there could be a variety of reasons. It could be also death of your partner. You become a widow, and now you're left to take care of your family on your own.
Right.
Exactly, as Sarah said, some reasons are not of our choice, and sometimes we choose to be in this road on our own because it's better to be in this road on our own.
Right.
So when the partner is not fitting into the family, so I think it's better to be on our own on that road. So
Yeah, for sure. Lilia, what do you think?
What is the prevalence of single motherhood in Canada? Single motherhood is not a new phenomenon in Canada. Actually, it's there since the baby boomers. That's where the percentage was extremely high. The form of the mother singlehood was different because it wasn't issued, the motherhood was not issued, the single motherhood was not issued after a separation between partners, but it was like, it started from not even being in a couple or in a partnership or in a marriage relationship for the mothers at that time. Nowadays, it's mostly from people getting separated, partners getting separated, divorced, or left alone.
Thank you. And Saliha?
I guess for how we look at the number of single mothers across Canada, we probably need to be looking at what the stats say for that. I don't have the number in front of me. Having said that, I would say that just looking around within my own social circle, I can safely say that there is a sizable number of single mothers. And at times, although we may seem to have a couple in front of us, which is, a father and a mother, or a two-parent family, but many a times the mother is still, could be parenting single-handedly. And so, it could be that you have a father.
Great. And so, one of the other things that I think comes to mind is there's also a lot of issues around fertility these days, right? So I know women as well that I've seen that have, gone to a sperm bank and basically had in vitro done so that they could actually have a baby and not necessarily have a baby with another person. It was just, because they decided, right? These strong women that, I'm ready and I just want to do this, and, whatever their value system is, right? They choose to go ahead and do that, right? And so I think being a single mother crosses all sorts of it crosses everything, right? Race, faith, ethnicity, all of it. And so what do you think some of the challenges are? You're all single moms, so tell us, what are some of the challenges?
For me, challenges were not only being a single mom and just suddenly being without a partner and no one to care for my kids except me. It was also the challenge of the move from my back home to here. So it was a little bit difficult than the regular situation of being in your environment.
Right.
But just to be more specific about being a single mom, the challenge is sometimes that you need some hand to help you. Also, it's all about the kids. Sometimes they feel traumatized because they don't have a dad, or the dad is away, or they have to just visit him from time to time. So they have lots of questions, they have lots of emotions going around. Why are we in this situation? Right. So this is I see this most of the the difficult things that I faced myself with my kids, the questions and their emotions, and how to get them out of this traumatizing feeling all the time that where is dad, why he's not around, so it's because of you maybe, and then sometimes they put pressure on you, even if they don't point a question for you, you feel when you see them like that you can't help them, or you see them struggling, you feel pain.
Yeah, for sure.
So I find that for me that was the most difficult part of it.
Right. Thank you.
I agree with those points. I would also add that I think the decision to become and step into that role of a single mom is challenging in itself, because you have a lot of pressure from family, from your community, to, if you're in a situation, partnership situation in a marriage, there's a lot of pressure to make that marriage work. And when that marriage fails, you're in a situation where you're surrounded by a lot of guilt. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of trauma, as she mentioned.
A lot of shame, right?
A lot of
People
shame
project
too.
on you.
Exactly, you project.
Yeah.
Because now you're on your own. You're struggling to make yourself, at a place where you're feeling good about yourself and feeling good about the situation. And then now you have to make sure that's reflected in your child and their mental health and well-being as well.
And in some cases, it's that they actually, like the father might be around somewhere. In some cases, there's absolutely no contact, right?
There's no contact, yes.
In both cases, I mean, it would be, I would imagine, equally challenging.
Yeah, and it's traumatizing for both the mother and the child.
Yeah. Well, if the father is around and is taking part of the responsibility and is behaving like an adult, and that would be less harmful on the kids.
Right.
But if the father just abandoned the kids and he's not around, that's really painful. And I experienced it both, so I know how it really reflected on my kids when they went back to see their dad, even though he's not taking the great part, or he's not like, they feel like he's just a visitor in their life, still they feel that they have a dad is a good thing.
Right.
So I would just tell all men, at least stay around, do part of the role. Do anything.
For the sake of the kids,
Yeah, the kids, they are not orphans. They still have a dad, so show up sometimes.
That's great. I'm just going to also ask Lilia and Saliha to share your thoughts.
In terms of the challenges that single mothers face, perhaps we tend to focus mostly on the financial burden of raising a child on our own, and I totally agree that is a tough one. But I guess for me, on a personal level, it was raising a child in a way that they are good human beings, that they are receiving a well-rounded education and mentorship and guidance. I think that has been something that has weighed heavily on me as perhaps the biggest challenge that I have personally found being a single mother.
The most challenging issue when it comes to parenting or to motherhood with the kids is the time, to find the real time. Get organized, be organized, and spend time to sit and talk with each kid and teach him the values, get to know more about his life or her life, as for your daughter or your son. Know more about what they want, what they require, what they are missing. They are all different, and to be able to focus on their needs specifically for each one. That's the biggest challenge I found.
I know one of the things that also comes up is this idea of having a father's being remarried, right? And what the impact of that is on the kids as well. So I've heard a few stories recently about how men have gone and ended the one marriage but are now remarried to other people, and so I can only imagine what the impact of that is on kids as well.
Yeah, they feel there's all sorts of feelings on the child, feeling unworthy of being loved and receiving that attention. So it can have a positive and negative impact on them.
Right. And I mean, what it's obviously not easy to make that decision,
Yes.
right? It's obviously a very difficult decision to make. Are you willing to give us some information on like, or share your experience of like how you made that decision?
It took me 6 years to make the decision, and I had I actually experienced divorce from the same man once, but that was back home, and because of the feeling of guilt and shame from the society, after 1 year of divorce, I had to go back unwillingly to the same failed marriage. And that was the worst decision I have ever made in my life. And then it took me another 3 years to take the final decision, but it's not easy on the woman to decide, because she's always pointed at as a guilty person when she decides to break the family.
Right. We're just going to take a quick break and then we'll be back. Okay, we'll be back right after this. Hi everyone, welcome back. You're watching the AZEEZA show, and today we're talking about single motherhood. So, we were just talking before the break about, what was it like to make that decision to have to leave and to become a single mother? And, as you were saying, like it wasn't an easy decision. And then, Sarah, what about you?
For me, it was also a difficult decision. I was actually in the midst of a lot of abuse.
Okay.
So there was a lot of verbal, emotional, and mental abuse that I had to face from my in-laws who currently live in Canada. My husband, ex-husband, is in Saudi Arabia. So we were physically living apart, and the family took advantage of that.
Right.
And there was a lot of miscommunication. There was a lot of misunderstandings that were created between the two of us. So it was a difficult decision because I ended up becoming suicidal. I didn't want to live. So it was easier for me to decide to check out of life versus walk out of the marriage because of the pressure from the family, pressure from the community, to save face, to pretend like I'm happy, but I really wasn't. So I made the difficult decision after, I think my daughter was 1.5 years old.
Okay.
We packed our bags and we relocated. The first decision was to relocate so that my in-laws could not get to me.
Right.
They would have no idea where I was. So the physical relocation had to happen, and then I contacted the courts. I did go through an imam of the mosque.
Okay.
So we did decide to have the conversations with the family so that we can, find where the misunderstandings are, miscommunication is. Let's clear all of that, but it did not help. It did not help. So I eventually went to court with it, and I got protection from the court, from the family. So it was not an easy process because the family represented my ex-husband in court, and there was a lot of lies again. There was a lot of manipulation of the lawyers that took place. And it took a lot of courage for me to stand grounded and fight for what I wanted, and fight for what was right, and fight for the ability to stand, to sit in the courtroom in front of the judge, for the judge to make the decision.
Good for you. That's
so
amazing.
it was a tough but really courageous
I can imagine,
step
right?
that needed to happen.
Yeah, very courageous.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, and here we are.
Yeah,
here we are
amazing.
today.
And what it's remarkable. I find that like how resilient women are, like even having gone through so much, like you're still doing all of these things, and then you're managing and working and taking care of your kids at the same time, and I'm good for all of you for doing that. It's
I'm
amazing.
saying we are powerful, we are not single moms.
We're super women.
You're super women, that's right. It's awesome. So why don't we talk a little bit about, some of the, there's a lot of misconception out there that like single moms get all this extra government support. What do you have to say about that?
I would say there is support available, but I won't say it's a lot of support.
Okay.
Yes, if you lack income, they would subsidize that. If you're working full time and you need some subsidy support for daycare expenses, they would provide some of that. But the process itself, it's not something that's like a quick and easy thing. You don't get that support like tomorrow.
Right.
But they do supplement, and there is some support available.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. I experienced that myself, of course, when I arrived to Canada 3 years ago.
Right.
So I was, of course, left behind by him in a market rent. So I didn't have shelter. I didn't have money to provide for the market rent, and So I had to look for shelter and or house.
Yes.
So there was the housing system welcoming me,
Yeah.
but it was also based on the reasons. So it's not all cases alike.
No, they're not. Yeah.
Since my case had involved domestic violence, so
Right.
and it was in the court, it had taken priority on the list.
Right.
So I can say that there is no support. There is support, a very good support in Canada, but it also depends on what you have, what you're gonna give in return.
What your situation is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, so it was good. It was very challenging. I was so scared. My kids, the idea that didn't have money to pay for the rent
Right.
was so scary for me.
It's terrifying,
So, but I was supported until I finished my license, and they never pushed me to do anything that I didn't like. Like they never, for example, pushed me to do jobs that I didn't want to do. They were very caring to see me emotionally well. That's the most important thing for my caseworker. She was very worried about my emotional well-being, my kids' well-being.
Right.
I received therapy, my kids received therapy, and they always made sure that we are safe, having good food on the table. And on the other hand, so I was able to pursue my studies, and I was able to do some part-time job, and now I'm in a full-time job, and now I'm looking forward to do masters. So it's like, it's a good thing. Like, we are blessed, but it doesn't mean that we are blessed because we are single mom. I'm not encouraging anyone to be a single mom, but I'm saying there is help. If you are being abused, don't accept this, please. There is help.
Yes, yes,
So
absolutely.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Excellent, thank you. Lilia and Saliha, please tell us what you think as well about this.
So I live in London, and there are certain programs that are available through United Way. Perhaps we can check into what is being provided through different organizations where, I guess if you Google organizations supporting single women in your neighborhood, then that's definitely something that could be found there. And I know I'm coming from that privileged position of someone who has access to information, or someone who has access to, feels comfortable enough kind of going and asking those questions. For friends and family members that have reached out to me and usually reached out on a private basis, my recommendation to them is that they need to seek out their support system by themselves. It's unfortunate that I have to say that, but it had an impact. It definitely had an impact on the, from the basis of what it is that I could do more for my children, or what is it that I could do effectively for my child. Other than that, I really haven't received any other sort of support. I know a lot of times I'd had that kind of thrown in my face. Oh, well, being a single mother, you must be getting a lot of help. And I don't think that financial help that is kind of being suggested for me is something that A, I would be happy to take, or B, is even available in the first place.
Single mother that does not receive more government help or support than any other parent, because it's regulations and nowadays, in Canada, there's no difference between a single mom or a single dad. So the law applies to both of them, and there's help and support for both of them. Lately, with more education to the parents, fathers are taking responsibilities too, to help with raising and supporting and being with their kids. What I would say is that why would it be more help for mothers than fathers? I believe in equity, and I believe that doesn't matter who's taking care of the kids. The most important thing is the interest of the child. So if the child is spending more time with the mother, then the support should go more to the mother. If they are staying more with the father, then the support should go to the father.
Okay, great. What about you, Sarah? What do you think about this? Like, what kind of services and supports do you think? Did you access any services and supports?
I was very fortunate actually to have my family supporting me.
Okay.
So I lived with my family during the time that I was experiencing abuse, and even when I had my daughter, I was living with my family. I made the decision not to move in with my in-laws or
Okay.
move in separately. Even before I got married, I lived with my parents, and after the marriage, I lived in Saudi Arabia with my ex-husband for
Okay.
7 months, and when I came back, I stayed with my family. So there was a lot of support from my family available.
Okay,
So I
great.
didn't need to tap into a lot of other support. I did hire, though, coaches and mentors from the States. So I chose not to tap into therapists locally.
Right.
I did my research and I looked at what are some of the teachers that are thriving in their life and business that I want to connect with in
Right.
terms of the life that I want to create.
Right.
Who are those people who are living it?
Right.
And there are examples that yes, life can change. So that's what I tapped into. And also because I had a toddler at that time, I couldn't just leave her at home and then go out and get education outside of home. So I
Right.
tapped into a lot of online resources.
Right.
That's what I accessed.
Okay, excellent. Wonderful. Well, we're almost out of time, so I just want to take a moment to thank you all for being here. Thank you for doing all that you're doing. You're incredibly strong women, and wish you all the very best in the future.
Thank
all
you
right,
so much
thank you so
for
much,
having us.
everyone, for watching today, and hope to see you next week. Take care.